Hey everyone, thanks for joining me this week. My name is Laura Adams. I'm a personal finance expert who's been hosting the Money Girl podcast since 2008. Before we get started, if you are enjoying Money Girl, take a moment to submit a rating or a review. That really means a lot to us. So thanks in advance for just taking a moment to do that. I'm also an author. I've written several books, including my most recent title, Money Smart Solopreneur, a personal finance system for freelancers, entrepreneurs, and side hustlers. If you're building a business, that is the book for you. Don't miss it. You can grab a copy of the paperback, ebook, or audiobook. The mission here is to help you get the knowledge and motivation to prioritize your finances, build wealth, and have more security and less stress. Every show is sort of like a mini training designed to help you get some quick tips to help just make better financial decisions in your life. Think about different areas of your money and make some improvements in the areas where it might mean the most for you. So I'd love for you to subscribe and also participate. You can send me money questions or comments. One way is to email me using my contact page at lauradadams.com. You might connect on Instagram at lauradadams and leave a message 24/7 on our voicemail line at 302-364-0308. All right, let's get on to today's show, which is number 730, called 3 Smart Strategies for Using a Health Savings Account. I've had a health savings account, or HSA, for as long as I can remember because they offer so many tax benefits and extra flexibility in retirement. It might be my favorite tax-advantaged account. A common question I hear is whether you should actually spend your HSA funds or just keep them invested and growing. So in this podcast, I'm going to review the HSA benefits and discuss whether it's better to spend your balance on qualified medical expenses or keep it invested for the long term. First, let's go over a quick review of what HSAs are if you're not familiar. I know many of you have HSAs and, you're very familiar with them. But if you're not or you just want to review, I'm going to quickly give you just a quick summary here. An HSA is a type of medical savings account. You can use it to pay for certain healthcare costs. So things like your deductible and any out-of-pocket expenses that are not covered by your health insurance. And it also covers a lot of other things like trips to the dentist, getting your eyes checked, buying eyewear, hearing aids. Just so many different types of medical expenses are considered qualified. However, to have an HSA, you've got to have a high deductible HSA qualified health plan. So that's the first thing. If you've got an HSA qualified health plan, you can open an HSA and use that account. And you might get your insurance at work through a group health plan, or you can even buy it as an individual. So let me review the 3 powerful money-saving benefits that you get from having an HSA. Number 1, your contributions are never taxed. So you fund an HSA with pre-tax dollars, and that gives you a really nice tax deduction, even if you don't itemize deductions on your tax return. You can make HSA contributions anytime during the year, even up to April 15 for the previous tax year. You can contribute to an HSA, no matter what, if you're retired, unemployed, or even have a low annual income. As long as you've got that high deductible plan, you can make contributions to an HSA, but you're never required to make any contributions. You could go for years and contribute nothing if you wish. For 2022, you, your employer, or even your family members can contribute up to $3,650 if you've got insurance that's just for yourself, or up to $7,300 if you've got a family plan. So maybe you've got a spouse, a partner, or dependents on your plan. That would qualify you for $7,300 in maximum contributions. Plus, there's an annual catch-up contribution of $1,000 if you're over age 55. So you could put in $4,650 for a self-only plan or $8,300 for a family plan. The second way an HSA saves you money is your investment earnings are never taxed. So most HSAs pay interest on your balance like a bank savings, and you can typically transfer all or a portion of your balance to investments, such as mutual funds or exchange-traded funds. Unlike a taxable bank or brokerage account, your interest and investment growth in an HSA is entirely tax-free, which is very, very nice. And the third way your HSA saves you money is that your withdrawals are never taxed. So when you make HSA withdrawals of both your original contributions and your earnings to spend them on qualified healthcare expenses, they're completely tax-free. So that's an even better deal than taking traditional retirement account withdrawals, because those do get taxed when you take them out in retirement. And an HSA even beats a Roth retirement account, which allows tax-free withdrawals but requires you to pay tax up front on contributions. With an HSA, you get pre-tax contributions and tax-free withdrawals, which is amazing. However, you should never put money in an HSA that you might need for everyday expenses, like rent or groceries. You can only use the funds for current or future qualified, unreimbursed medical expenses. You're subject to income tax plus a hefty 20% penalty if you take money out for non-qualified expenses, like, going on a vacation or anything other than qualified healthcare expenses. And I won't cover all of the expenses that you can use an HSA for here because I've podcasted a lot about it. So if you want to learn more about the wide range of costs you can pay for with your HSA, check out podcast number 701 called Your Guide to Saving Money with an HSA Now and in Retirement. In addition to its triple tax advantages that I just reviewed, there are even more benefits you get from using an HSA. As I mentioned, you're never required to take withdrawals from an HSA, so your balance can stay in the account indefinitely and even get passed to your heirs. It just rolls over from year to year with no spending deadline. You can take your HSA with you if you leave your employer or retire because it's portable. So in some cases, your employer may help you open up an HSA, but if you want to transfer funds to a different HSA of your choice, you can do that. You can continue spending your HSA balance even if you no longer have a high-deductible health plan or you become unemployed. So you just can't make new contributions if you don't have an HSA-qualified health plan. But you can still spend your balance and, let it continue to grow in different investments. You typically cannot spend HSA funds on health insurance premiums. However, there are exceptions, including using them for long-term care insurance, COBRA continuation after you leave a job, and health insurance while you receive unemployment compensation. And after your 65th birthday, you can spend HSA funds on certain Medicare premiums and non-qualified healthcare expenses without paying the 20% penalty that I mentioned. However, you do have to pay income tax on any withdrawals that are used for non-qualified expenses, but you just get to skip that penalty after age 65. Because an HSA offers so many benefits now and in retirement, you may wonder if spending the funds or just keeping them invested and growing year after year is better. Well, I'm going to review 3 smart strategies for using your HSA. Strategy number 1 is to make tax-free HSA withdrawals to pay your current medical expenses. Most HSAs give you a debit card and even paper checks to pay for eligible medical costs in real time. So if you go to the doctor and you've got a copay, you can pull out your HSA debit card and use it right there in real time. That's the traditional and most popular way to use an HSA, especially if you don't have other savings to pay your healthcare expenses. Strategy number 2 is to pay medical costs out of pocket and then make HSA withdrawals in the future to reimburse yourself. So HSA rules don't require you to pay qualified expenses within a certain period of time. So if you've got the cash to pay for them, or you want to, let's say, put it on a credit card, you can reimburse yourself later on from the HSA. This method is known as shoeboxing your HSA, which creates an IOU to yourself that you redeem later on whenever you like. Just be sure to keep good records to verify your qualified expenses. And also note that you can't use HSA funds to pay costs that you incurred before you open the account. And strategy number 3 is to pay medical expenses out of pocket with no HSA reimbursement. HSA rules do not require you to reimburse yourself for qualified medical expenses, so you can opt not to make any account withdrawals and just keep the money growing tax-free in the account. Or you might choose to pay small healthcare expenses out of pocket and reserve your HSA for high or unexpected qualified costs. So whether you should spend your HSA or just keep it invested depends on your account and your financial situation. While HSAs come loaded with tax benefits, they offer less flexibility than a retirement plan because they're strictly for your healthcare costs. Also, they're not known for providing best-in-class investments with low fees, which can erode their net investment returns. However, if you invest most of your HSA balance in diversified funds, some might argue that it's better not to spend it. In other words, if you can afford not to tap your HSA, that gives you maximum tax savings. But if your HSA funds are not invested or they're earning just a little bit of interest in the account, you'll likely come out ahead by spending them on qualified medical expenses. That gives you a guaranteed tax savings, which could be more than 30% depending on your income and tax rate. Finding an investment to beat that would be pretty difficult. But it's possible that letting your HSA stay invested for decades could be more valuable with compounding interest. It just really depends on your investment return and how long the account stays invested. Here's how I use my HSA. I make monthly contributions in amounts that max out the account by the end of the year. And every month, I sweep amounts that exceed $1,000 into growth-oriented investments. My husband and I generally use our HSA to pay qualified expenses as we go. Paying for them with pre-tax money is an immediate benefit that I don't believe I could beat by leaving the account untapped. I can't know which option is right for you, but the good news is that any strategy you choose to use an HSA saves money and is a huge win. If you qualify for an HSA, they're available at banks, credit unions, brokerages, and specialty institutions. Shop around to find one that gives you diversified investment options, low fees, and a convenient online experience. I hope the show has given you some different ideas about smart ways to use your HSA. And before we go, I want to invite you to connect with me on Twitter at Laura Adams, or again on Instagram at Laura D. Adams. And lauradadams.com is my personal site where you can use my contact page and learn more about my work, books, and money courses. That's all for now. I'll talk to you next week. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast. It's audio engineered by Steve Rickyberg with editing by Adam Cecil. Our advertising operations specialist is Morgan Christensen, and our marketing and publicity assistant is Davina Tomlin.